Hello, my guys, my people, my crackers. Yeah, the fans of the Cracktoon channel are gonna be called crackers. Let's go. Where could that go wrong? Anyway, as you can see from the title and thumbnail, today's video it's about Star versus Steven. To give you context, that battle made a versus video about those two characters, and when I saw that, I was like, okay, I'm gonna make a versus video myself and break down who I think wins. But it turns out I didn't have enough time because those videos are like large. Like both of those videos are each 25 minutes long. So you can imagine it took me a lot to edit and record and all of that. So what I did is instead of making one versus battle video, I just made two how strong videos, each on each character. One is on Star and the other one is on Steven. So what I decided to do is to put those videos together into this one, which is gonna be like an hour long or something, and basically make a long versus battle where I combine the two how strong videos. And if you already saw those two videos, you don't have to watch this video anymore. But if you haven't saw these videos and this is the first video you saw, then you can see in this very own video how strong is Star Butterfly, how strong is Steven Universe, and then at the end you can see who wins between the two based on the analysis and based on my take on the characters. So with that being said, let's go into the Steven Universe part of the video. This giant corrupted gem is defeated by Pearl, which it's a good fit because it establishes that at the bare minimum the crystal gems individually can't beat creatures that are as big as a town or a city. Speaking of cities, the next feat is comparable with destroying a city, because the next feat is about Peridot's escape pod, which enters Earth's atmosphere and creates an impact that produces 80 megatons of TNT, and Pearl can still throw her spear and pierce it, and Garnet can literally crack it on her knee easily. This is impressive specifically because if you think about it, the biggest nuclear explosion ever happened, the Tsar bomb, was only able to produce around 60 megatons of TNT, and this escape pod crashing and hitting Earth produced 80, and Garnet was easily able to crack that thing. Okay, so I tried to record this part so many times, I'm just gonna get straight to the point, okay? Basically, what's happening is that Pearl is piloting this spaceship at relativistic speeds, meaning around 30% of the speed of light. She pilots it and she evades some meteorites or meteors, whatever you call them, and then she hits a bunch of Ruby soldiers. Now, this ship moving at almost the speed of light produces, or better said, the Ruby soldiers tanked around 217 megatons of TNT by the fact that something moving at near the speed of light creates that much energy. This means that those rubies tanked an attack that's like what 5 times, maybe even more, stronger than the strongest nuclear bomb ever detonated, and it's equivalent with destroying like a mountain. And if you think I am exaggerating by any means, I have to let you know that Garnet actually fought corrupted gem once, and just as a collateral damage, she was able to collapse a mountain. Keep in mind, she wasn't even trying to collapse that mountain. She did it while fighting another gem as collateral damage, reinforcing the fact that crystal gems can destroy mountains easily. Something to add to the consistency of mountain level, it's the fact that there's, in a comic, this one ancient gem ship that has this laser which can change the temperature on the thing it targets so much that sand, for example, turns into glass. And doing that at such a large scale requires at least 300 megatons of TNT in terms of energy. And keep in mind, this is an old one, this is an ancient, this is old gen ship. Jasper's ship should, at least on paper, be stronger and have more energy than it, and Steven is able to tank an attack from it with his shield, and Garnet throws Jasper into the core of the ship, the core of the energy of this ship, and it explodes, Jasper tanking point blank what I could assume it's more energy than 300 megatons of TNT. And remember, 300 megatons of TNT, it's the conservative one. The one that it's like on a higher end of this feat would be somewhere around being able to like destroy islands and countries, whereas this one that I've shown is just the equivalent of destroying mountains. So actually in episode I think 2 of Steven Universe, like the second episode ever of Steven Universe, we see that there's the laser light cannons which can shoot at this giant spaceship, right? They can shoot it down and basically explode it and completely destroy it. This has been calculated, giving the size of the everything and the explosion, and anyway, the output of the laser light cannons being around 4 gigatons of TNT, meaning that this laser light cannon can like literally obliterate a mountain easily, right? And then we see that four of those cannons put together to attack Jasper's ship can't really do like really anything. If anything, Opal does more, and Opal being amethyst and pearl fusion, right? But then we see that Jasper, it's actually thrown into the core of the spaceship, and thanks to an explosion that can pierce through this fucking ship, and Steven can easily in his pink state clap Jasper, meaning that Steven can clap someone who can tank an attack stronger than 16 gigatons of TNT. Let that sink in. So this dude also, and I want to mention this because I don't know, just so people know about it, I guess. This one dude made this one calculation where basically when the diamonds came on Earth with their ship and they start punching the ground, they produced a lot of energy because, if you don't know, the cluster could like sense it, right? Like it reached the cluster, who was like what, 700 kilometers deep inside the Earth, meaning that those like the diamond ships could create earthquakes like on that level, like that deep did their punches have an effect, right? And basically this guy calculated it to like it produced around like 27 teratons of TNT, which it's the equivalent of like destroying a country or whatever. So I just wanted you people to know that that's another thing. And obviously Steven is stronger than the diamond mech, so yeah, just put that out there. Now this next feat, it's way more impressive than any other feats we talked about so far, like way more, like leagues of, like thousands of times stronger than anything we talked so far, like thousands of if not, I don't know, millions or something, you know. Basically, lapis lazuli takes all of Earth's oceans and water, or at least like, I don't know, 90% of Earth's water ever, and she creates this giant water tower. This feat requires around 30 petatons of TNT in terms of energy. That's insane. That's the equivalent of like destroying like multiple continents. Like imagine if someone was able to destroy, I don't know, North America and like South America. That's how crazy this feat is. Because I mean, after all, she did take all of Earth's ocean, so it's not that outlandish to think that this feat it's like at that level, you know. And not only that, obviously, Steven by the end of the series is way stronger than her, but actually, even in season 1, after she talks to Steven and she gets convinced to stop doing this, she actually drops the water tower and it basically falls on Steven and then Steven dies. Okay, he doesn't. Okay, he doesn't die. But this is interesting. He actually tanks his bubble, tanks the ocean dropping on him. Of course, it's not the whole weight of the ocean, but it's at least a percentage of it, right? Given the fact that he was literally on the in the middle of the where the everything was dropping. So even in season 1, Steven had this incredible feat of like tanking all of the ocean or like most of the ocean dropping on top of his bubble, right? So that's pretty crazy if you think about it. And there's this one feat that I quite literally don't know how to quantify myself, so I don't know. But basically, what happens is that the diamonds, as I mentioned earlier, try to awaken the cluster, and the cluster basically gets from like 700 kilometers under the like surface of the earth to the surface of the earth in like seconds, right? Like this is impressive because like okay, think about King Kong versus Godzilla, right? When Godzilla uses his or hers, I don't know, beam of radiation thing, like nuclear breath, whatever it's called, to dig a hole through the earth up until it gets to hollow earth. That feat is impressive, and it's like, I don't know, something around the lines of like it can destroy like islands and countries or whatever. And uh, that was in like 3 minutes. That took him 3 minutes. Cluster did it in like 3 seconds. So I think this feat is like exponentially stronger. And the cluster also has the fact that it could create like large like earthquakes throughout the whole planet. And this is impressive because like to create this like earthquakes throughout the planet, it basically messing with like tectonic plates of the earth, right? And especially when the cluster does it from like 700 kilometers under the surface, it's crazy, right? So just that alone, it's like the equivalent of like destroying like multiple continents. I actually believe it was like something around the lines of like 2 or 3 uh uh tetatons of TNT, which is just insane because this is like approaching like close to like the level of like destroying the moon. It's like it's like in that range. If you like multiply this by 10 or 20 or something, this amount of power, you get to being able to destroy like a moon or something, right? So this is pretty good. This is a pretty good fit for cluster. And obviously Steven, right? Steven, it's able to defeat the cluster. So that's pretty impressive if you ask me. Not to mention that the cluster's purpose is actually to just like escape like the core of the planet and get out of it and then destroy the whole planet, right? That's the purpose of the cluster, and Steven could still fight it. It's actually stated that the cluster is like planet level, and then it's stated that Steven is stronger than the cluster itself, meaning that you could probably argue that Steven is like planet level, but that's a little bit, I don't know, it's weird. You could, but it doesn't seem very it doesn't seem like it is the case. It just might be the case because after all, Steven didn't fight a full-on cluster. Steven just fought a hand of cluster, you know. And obviously, Steven also defeated or fought against White Diamond and other diamonds. And White Diamond is the strongest gem. She might even be stronger than the cluster, meaning that she might be even planet level. So Steven is stronger than her, at least in his pure pink gem form. And that's about it. This is all there is to Steven Universe. At his best, he's like multi-continental to like planet level, maybe, right? So that's about it in terms of attack potency, if you want.
Are you ready? Go!
So when it comes to speed, I want to mention the fact that the laser light cannon, it's indeed called the laser light cannon, okay? And I know that's a bit of a nominal fallacy, but if it's something it's called laser light cannon, I'm just gonna assume that it's a cannon that shoots laser that are made of light. So I'm gonna assume it's light speed. I'm sorry, okay? I know it's a bit of a fallacy, but let's be honest, okay? Now, the second thing that's actually a feat, it's actually Steven and the crystal gems react to lasers in this one scene like multiple times. They dodge lasers multiple times. And the thing is, you might say, well, how do you know those lasers are actual light speed? Maybe they're slower than light. Well, no, because we know that those are shot from prisms, which are specifically made to refract light, and also they bounce off of Steven's shield, meaning that they can bounce off of surfaces, which means that it's just light. It's actual light. So yeah, those are like light speed lasers, and the crew are like dodging them. Another interesting thing is, if you remember earlier, I talked about Pearl piloting a ship at relativistic speeds. Well, that's relevant here too, because it kind of establishes that the crystal gems can pilot at relativistic speeds at a bare minimum, meaning that they have the cognition of dodging, for example, meteorites at relativistic speeds, meaning that they have like at least reaction speed at the level of like relativistic, right? So yeah, it's all consistent to them being like around the area of like dodging lasers and stuff, you know. Another thing to make it consistent, it's in the Light Trilogy, which is a series of 3 games which have roughly like the same objective, which is to either defeat or save this prism gem weapon thing, whatever. Basically, this gem can create mini soldiers that are made of light, and everything about it, it's light based. And actually there are attacks that it has that are literally light based and light speed and lasers and stuff, which again, it just to add to the consistency of everything. If you remember earlier, I was talking about this feat of the diamonds coming together and shooting a beam at the earth, right? If you look in the scene, it's actually, you can see that it's coming out of beyond like the moon, like it's farther than the moon. It's actually been calculated that this feat in terms of speed was around like 4 times the speed of light or something like that. and this is impressive because Steven can actually react to Blue Diamond, and we have seen him do that, and we have seen him actually when he's in his pink form to be able to react to White Diamond easily, meaning that Steven at a bare minimum should be like 4 times the speed of light easily, or somewhere around the lines of like faster than light. And we also see that Smoky Quartz, which is a fusion of Steven and Amethyst, has this one power when it gets emotional, right? That it can like run so fast that everything's is in like slow motion, which it's crazy because they are already, those characters are already like light speed or close to light speed or faster than light, and then they have this boost that makes them like so much faster even. And if you ask why is this relevant to Steven if this is a fusion thing, well, Steven actually demonstrates this power later where he actually moves so fast all the crystal gems seem to be in like slow motion. And think about the fact that like those crystal gems already can dodge lasers, and Steven can move like, I don't know, 10 feet in a span of like the gems takes to like move 1 feet. And you actually see this scene where he runs past Jasper's dash thing, where Jasper's like it's very fast and spins very fast. Like we see the same thing against Garnet, and Garnet is like can barely dodge it, right? And it's very fast comparable to Jasper's normal speed, and Steven can like outspeed it easily and make it seem in slow motion. And Steven can even use this power of speed we see in combat against like Jasper, right? So it's pretty good. It's a pretty good ability and pretty good I guess feat, the fact that he can make characters that move at light speed seem that they move in slow motion compared to him. Okay, now that we talked about the main things, let's get into the more funky stuff, dude. Let's get into the more funky stuff, dude. Which, I kind of want to start it with the fact that that battle already has this promo trailer thing for Steven Universe. And they calculated the attack that the diamonds do, you know, the one with like when they all come together and they attack Earth at the same time. They calculated that to be around I don't remember, damn, but it was around, basically around the area of like they can destroy like stars or like solar systems. Like, yeah, that's how crazy it was. It surprised me too, so probably gonna say Steven it's like maybe star level or something. Another thing that can be used to support that is the fact that Rose's dimension has a star in it, meaning that if you believe Rose created this dimension, right, you can argue that she created also a star. And kind of how it works is that the possibility of a dimension that's entirely pink to exist outside of Rose Quartz, and she only created the gateway to it, it's very unlikely. It's way more plausible that she created it. And especially since we see that other gems can create pocket dimensions and stuff. So if you want to use this feat, I guess you can say, look dude, she can create like a freaking a star or something, or a solar system. And there's also the fact that Steven Universe crossed over with Brawlhalla, and I already made a video on Brawlhalla with Ketty on his channel, where basically we established that Brawlhalla characters are anywhere from like planet level to like star level. So like, yeah, this is obviously this would be a composite version of Steven, with him just being in Brawlhalla, being close to the other characters from Brawlhalla. But still, if you think like cross, like what I mean by that is that if you want to say that like composite Steven it's this strong, like I wouldn't put it you know, beside you to do it. Another thing is Steven tanked attacks from Uncle Grandpa. Uncle Grandpa, for people who don't know, it's a universal level being. He can literally manipulate reality and the universe itself, and he can do a lot of stuff with the universe. I don't even want to talk about it, but basically what I'm saying is that he's universe level, right, without getting into the nitty gritty of it, and he is actually afraid that the crystal gems might beat his ass, which, like, you can argue like, damn dude, this guy is like universe level and the crystal gems can like beat him or whatever. That's kind of fucked up, dude. Another thing with the Universal is the fact that Steven at one point had this gem artifact that could create and destroy multiple timelines, meaning that Steven, for a brief second, was low multiversal, meaning he can, or multi-universal. He could create and destroy multiple timelines with this thing. And obviously this is season 1, and it doesn't really line up with the rest of the powers, and I don't know, it doesn't really make sense if you think about it with the rest of the show. But yeah, at least with this thing you can argue he can like time travel and change timelines and whatever, and can even destroy timelines. So like, yeah, I guess the last thing I want to talk about is crossover Nexus, which basically puts Garnet into a situation where she has to fight Strike, and Strike is this one villain who can beat Finn the human, or Jake the dog. Actually, he can beat Jake the dog and can beat like Raven from Nintendo's Go, and those characters are like universe level, meaning that Garnet being able to like fight him or like somewhat be comparable to him makes her like universe level or something. You know, that it's absurd, but you know, that's kind of the point of this part of the video, to get the most absurd levels of wank you can give to Steven Universe through, you know, a combination of non-canon feats and just outlandish things that or outlandish arguments or whatever. A thing that I actually forgot to mention, and sorry for the background noises, but Lapis is actually able to travel to other galaxies.
You can see Homeworld's galaxy from here.
You're right.
We're very different. I appreciate that.
Steven, Homeworld? It's not the way it used to be. Everything here is so advanced. I can't even understand it. There's no way anything on Earth can stand up to it.
Or out of the Milky Way in a relatively short span of time.
It's so good to see you again.
Oh, really?
What's going on? I thought you'd be halfway across the galaxy by now.
I couldn't stand not knowing what was going on. I'm still terrified of the diamonds coming to Earth, but I got just outside the Milky Way and I felt so lonely.
And last time I made a calculation about it, it turned out that Lapis is like millions of times faster than the speed of light, or at least her flight is. Meaning that if you want to say that Steven it's comparable or can react to her flight speed, which he has reacted to her flight, you can argue that yeah, he's like massively faster than the speed of light or something. You didn't expect Steven to be that strong, did you? You mere mortal, you fool. Now, let's get into the star butterfly part of the video and see how strong she is, and then I'm gonna come back at the end and talk about who wins and other arguments of sorts. If you watch the death battle between Steven and Star, you already know that Star has a spell that can basically destroy planets. Now, she doesn't use it to destroy planets, but it's still at her disposal if she ever wants to do it. Another thing that it's worth mentioning for this planet level meta is that Scowen Butterfly, one of her ancestors, states that she was about, or she was trying to split Miumi in half. Miumi, which is a planet basically, and she talks about it casually. Actually, the result of that spell that she did was way more destructive than just splitting a planet in half, but I'm gonna go into that later. Aside from that, there's this guy called Helios, who's basically a small sun or a small star who threatens to basically destroy or at least exterminate or eat all of Earth, and Star still disposes of him. Aside from that, Skywind Butterfly is actually able to not only get rid of all the gravity on Miyuni and even reverse it, which is very impressive given the gravitational pull of a freaking planet. She's actually able to stop the planet from moving and make it moving again, which is very impressive. And there's also the fact that Romulus, I think that's his name, is able to imprison a bunch of guys, of which one of them was able to destroy an entire planet and the other can create black holes.
Said Lord, who blew up an entire planet, Astrobel, and the black hole she created.
Given all of that, I would say that's pretty easy to make arguments about how Star vs. the Force of Evil characters can, destroy planets and stuff. I don't think that's much of a reach. I think it's actually pretty reasonable to say that they can destroy planets, given all the evidence given in this part of the video. Now, if you watched that battle between Star and Steven, you might also know that in her way of splitting Miyumi in half, Skywind Butterfly actually ends up destroying a whole dimension, a whole universe. Meaning that in the right hands or wrong hands, depending on how you want to look at the situation, a character with the wand can destroy the universe just by mistake. And this is specifically pointed out in the very episode of the series where Star's mom tells her that in the wrong hands, the wand can end up destroying or blowing up the whole universe.
Now, Star, this wand is a big responsibility. If it falls into the hands of evil forces, the universe could be destroyed.
Star actually freezes time in the whole multiverse, and we know it's in the whole multiverse because they go to the planes of time where time basically flows or comes from, I guess. It's basically a place where Father Time runs on a wheel, so time keeps moving. We know that it's in the whole multiverse specifically because Omnitraxus Prime lives within the planes of time, and all the multiverse, all infinite realities, infinite timelines of the multiverse are within Omnitraxus Prime. So we know that the planes of time, it's not a thing specific to one universe or one timeline, but to all of them.
All time and space are considered as one, and within it, infinite parallel universes exist in...
Bored. I'm bored.
I can't believe this is happening. The crystal fields of interwoven continuum.
So pretty.
Ah, you see? Here's infinite versions of you in infinite parallel timelines, in infinite parallel math classes.
Putting her in the multiversal level category more so than just universal. We also find out that Star not doing a math problem could cause the shattering of infinite universes.
That sound! That's the same sound from the classroom!
That's your parallel timelines colliding with each other. If you don't figure out that math problem soon, they're all gonna shatter and forever be lost within the fabric of time-space. Space-time.
Yes. We find out that reality itself could have been quite literally obliterated by Star not wanting to do a math problem. Which means that Star could even involuntarily do more damage than Goku. She could destroy more than Goku just by the fact that she doesn't want to do a math problem. On the other hand, you have Eclipsa's darkest spell, which is stated to be able to basically destroy every dimension and everything within the multiverse.
You can't just blow up the whole dimension. My kid still needs to eat his pancakes.
You know what happens if we don't catch that thing? First, we die. Then, everyone dies. It'll eat its way through every dimension until there's nothing left.
Meaning that this spell, while over time, it's still able to destroy basically everything that there is. Everything in the dimension itself, or the universe itself, and then every and which one of them, destroying therefore the whole multiverse. That's another feat that kind of proves that characters are at least universe to like multiversal level. Not to mention that Star, Eclipsa, Moon, and Meteora were quite literally able to destroy all magic in existence. In Star Versus, as I already established, magic is a universal to multiversal level force, and they were able to overpower it and destroy it. And do you remember the Omnitraxus Prime guy? You know, the guy who's the embodiment of space-time and the multiverse?
I'm space-time.
Who are you?
I'm Omnitraxus Prime. I'm the space-time guy. The time loop. That's my territory.
The guy who has the infinite universes, you know, within himself.
All time and space are considered as one, and within it, infinite parallel universes exist in—
Bored. I'm bored.
I can't believe this is happening. The crystal fields of interwoven continuum.
So pretty.
Now you see? Here's infinite versions of you in infinite parallel timelines, in infinite parallel math classes.
The guy quite literally created by Glassoric to keep the multiverse for humans and explain them how space-time and the multiverse works, but actually just ended up being a deity, I don't know, guy who keeps the multiverse from collapsing on itself. You know that guy? That guy what I'm talking about, you know? Yeah, he's obviously multiversal. Not only he has infinite universes within his own belly, but he is quite literally stated by Glassoric, who's the most knowledgeable person in the verse, to be the one that keeps the multiverse in place. He is the one that keeps the multiverse from collapsing or eating itself. That guy basically got one-shotted by Toffee with half of the wand, and then Toffee proceeded to fight and basically solo the Magic High Commission, with only Moon being able to even do anything. You know, with she was the only one able to do anything in the situation. And later on, when she tries to use a spell that negates durability on his heart, she quite literally fails and starts crying. But Star comes out and she has this Sailor Moon weird butterfly form transformation sequence and goes to Toffee and quite literally disintegrates him. Disintegrates him like easily, you know? Even if you want to argue that this Toffee that she beat didn't have the wand, so it's not the same one that beat Omnitraxus Prime, it's still Omnitraxus Prime that lost against half of the wand, which Star not only has all of it, but actually she has her butterfly form on top of it. And may I remind you that the butterfly form, it's a boost equal to the wand itself, as the wand is stated to only be a guide through learning magic, and the butterfly form is the actual power-up you get. And when you have the butterfly form, you don't even need the wand anymore, as the wand is just a way of channeling and training your magic. And just to add to the consistency of it, actually we see Star in her butterfly form without the wand being able to scrap with Globgor, who then goes and not only holds his own against Omnitraxus Prime and the Magic High Commission, but actually proceeds to fight all of the Magic High Commission and quite literally beat all of them, and he's only stopped by seeing his daughter. Star also fights Meteora, being relative to her, with the fight ending up in a draw, although with Star sacrificing her wand for some time at least, and Meteora is able to fight Moon. I would say quite relatively. And if you remember, Moon it's the only one that could put up a fight against Toffee, whereas someone like Omnitraxus Prime got speed blitzed and one-shotted. Again, proving that the Queens of Miyumi and Star are stronger than Omnitraxus Prime. And if you're not convinced, there's also the fact that Star was able to fight a Solarian warrior without even her wand, and this Solarian warrior was previously able to fight Eclipsa and even kinda give her trouble. And Eclipsa is quite literally stated to be the strongest or the most dangerous at least Queen of Miyumi, which even Omnitraxus Prime is pretty scared of. And when it comes to speed, we have Hikapu, who's able to basically run around the planet in like a second or two. And as I mentioned earlier, Skywind Butterfly was able to destroy a whole dimension like in a moment, which would be massively faster than like even the speed of light, if not even greater. There's also the fact that the universes or dimensions are stated to be infinitely separate, which you could argue it means that they're like infinitely at like infinite distance between each other, meaning that anyone who could destroy like two universes would also be able to cross like a distance that's like infinite, right? And obviously that would be done in like a certain amount of time, so the speed of the person who does that is infinite. Or I mean, you could argue that because there's infinite universes, you are basically destroying an infinite amount of space and infinite amount of time if you can destroy like the multiverse, you know? And you can argue that because Omnitraxus Prime has time, like space-time, and therefore time inside of him, someone being able to be faster than time itself and split blitz him like Toffee did would be above time and space, and you could argue it's like, I don't know, immeasurable speed or something like that. So just as a start, we see that the Owl House and Gravity Falls are connected because we can see one of the wanted posters of Ida in one comic of Gravity Falls, and we can see in the same comic Ida's owl staff. I forgot his name, was Albert, Helper, I don't know. I'm bad with names, okay? And in episode 4, when King explains demons, we actually get to see Bill Cipher be one of those demons, because he's one of those demons. And this doesn't stop with the Owl House. We see Bill Cipher appearing in a book in the DuckTales reboot, and if you think that's just, oh, they're just, I don't know, the Illuminati eye or something, well, we clearly see him later on again, and that's clearly Bill. There's no question about it. It looks exactly like him. And later on, he appears in one episode in a hieroglyph, or I don't, it's hieroglyphs, is that how you pronounce it? I don't know. He appears in one of those with a god Egyptian dude, and there's actually one short where you have, I don't know what this is made in, like stop motion or something, I don't know how it works. You have Marco and Star going to this haunted house, and later on you see the reboot DuckTales and even Baymax from Big 06. You know, just more evidence that there's some connection at some point, you know. And again, connections with Gravity Falls. In one of the Amphibia episodes, we can see the journals in one of the books of Hop Pop, and we can see Bill freaking Cipher in one of the episodes directly, actually in True Colors, more specifically the season 2 finale. We can see Bill Cipher in one of the book, as there's info on him and he's documented. Not to mention the fact that there's a whole crossover about Frog Grunkle Stan meeting Anne and trying to I don't know, get money from, actually no, I think he's trying to kill her, regardless. And you might say, well, this is just like lookalikes, whatever, it's an Easter egg, but like Zeus or Frog Zeus literally explains.
Frog Zeus. Say, Mr. Pons, do you ever get the feeling that we exist simultaneously in multiple parallel universes, completely unaware of the other's very existence? You've been licking yourself again, Frog Zeus. Caught me again.
Or not explains, but literally asks the question, like literally puts it on the table, right? So it's like, it's just explanation at this point. It's not like a coincidence or anything. And not to talk about, because this is where we're going, this is the important thing, the connection between Gravity Falls and Star vs. the Forces of Evil. Because of those dudes, look at them, those are like the same people that have been in Gravity Falls, have been the same people around where Star is in Star, and fucking how are freaking several times existing in the same year? Like, how does Marco have several times merch or whatever the hell that is, a sticker, if they don't exist? They have to exist, or somehow kind of alternate reality of them have to exist in the Star vs. Forces of Evil universe too, and or multiverse or whatever. And on top of that, here's Marco literally talking about Bill Cipher.
Okay, Space Colony Alliance, SCA says, have you seen a weird triangle guy on any of your adventures in other dimensions? There was this guy I saw in one of the dimensions. His name was like Will or William something. I don't remember. Looked like a little nacho. Cute little guy.
Marco, it's quite literally mentioning Bill Cipher, okay? I don't know what you want from more than that, but even if you're not, let's say you're not convinced, right? There's this one show, I don't know, it's called Future Worm or something, where those guys go and teleport themselves through the multiverse, through dimensions, and see, Star vs. Force of Evil, okay. These hop from universes, Pickle and Peanut, or whatever the name is. Oh look, Wonder Over Yonder, okay, or Yonder Over Wonder, whatever his name is, and Gravity Falls, confirming they're all part of the same multiverse, or the same macroverse, or whatever the hell they are, okay? And here's the thing that, like, you probably saw before, but Rick and Morty and Gravity Falls are connected through a lot of Easter eggs. For example, look, you can literally see Bill in this picture, on that monitor, or you can see a bunch of aliens that appear in Rick and Morty in the journals, or you can see this thing that translates to Rick was here, or the fact that Morty has the journals in one of the episodes, and even the fact that Rick Sanchez appears as an Easter egg in one of the comics. And now the next one, it's pretty popular, because as you can see, Stan drops those things to that portal and they come out of the other side. They come from Gravity Falls to the Rick and Morty side. And if you haven't watched it, or if you haven't seen it, you're blind or something. Look, see those objects? Those are the same objects Stan has literally dropped, literally confirming that those universes are in the same multiverse, confirming that not only all the animated TV shows of Disney Channel are connected through Gravity Falls, The Owl House, Amphibia, Star vs. the Force of Evil, Pickle and Peanut, Wonder Over Yonder, and Future Worm, but there are a lot of evidence that Gravity Falls it's connected with Rick and Morty. Therefore, Rick and Morty is connected to all of those other universes too. Now, all of that was important to establish because while the Gravity Falls multiverse is also stated to be infinite and have infinite universes, that's not why I want to connect them. I want to connect them because of this special feature of the Gravity Falls multiverse, where it's stated that there are characters or beings or aliens or whatever, some of them being 5-dimensional, some of them being 7th-dimensional to 11-dimensional. Meaning, those characters are at like higher planes of existence, like 11 dimensions, like what, 7 dimensions between like us and them, right? And if we establish that the multiverse in Star Versus, right, is at that level because we somehow connected to the Gravity Falls one, making it again 11-dimensional, means that she can destroy, or for example Omnitrix's Prime can hold together a construct that's like 11th dimensional, making Star and Toffee and all the characters stronger than Omnitrix's Prime, for example, 11-dimensional. Or I think it's called in terms of power scaling, I think it's like complex multiversal or something, or maybe hyperversal. I'd have to actually look into it, but yeah, that's why it's important to connect those two, because you can argue that she's actually like 11-dimensional, right? She's like that strong. And the connection between Gravity Falls and Rick and Morty, it's important because in one Rick and Morty episode there's actually this guy who in the train episode of season 4, if you remember, who literally calls himself the concept of time.
Where'd you meet this sprite?
He's actually a human, but he invented portal tech?
I am the concept of time.
For people who don't know, concepts usually, on average, concepts should be above dimensions, should not be bound by dimensions. Dimensions should not bound the concept, meaning that you can argue that the Star Versus / Gravity Falls / Rick and Morty multiverse, which I made the case of them being all connected, the whole Disney Channel multiverse plus the Rick and Morty multiverse being like the same, you would argue that the whole multiverse, it's like it goes like infinite dimensional, right? It's infinite dimensional, and it goes even above that thing, right? And if you argue that the Omnitrix's Prime, for example, can hold it all together, and that Toffee and Star and Eclipse and a bunch of other characters are stronger than Omnitrix's Prime, then you could argue unironically that Star Butterfly and all the casts, or like not all the casts, but like most of the strongest characters are like above dimensionality or something like that are like outer versal. And I know this is big of a stretch because it's not stated that this concept of time guy is actually a platonic concept necessarily, but I just want to point that out, that this is a way of making this scaling, and I don't know, I think it's fun. I think you can make it that way to be like outer versal, So yeah, this is kind of the point of that whole thing with Rick and Morty and Gravity Falls, is that if you think that Star vs. the Forces of Evil and Gravity Falls share a multiverse, then you can probably argue that Star Butterfly it's like 11-dimensional. And if you want to say that they all share the same multiverse with Rick and Morty, then that's actually you can argue that that's like infinite dimensional or above infinite dimensions. That's kind of my point. That's about what I'm trying to say over here. So yeah. So now that you saw both of their breakdowns, both of how strong they are, the arguments for both of those characters, I think it's pretty obvious for everyone watching this that Star absolutely wins. I had to go through Steven's feats from like being able to like characters being able to destroy like cities and being able to destroy mountains. Then I went to like countries or like continents, and at the end I said like maybe he could destroy a planet, or characters in Steven Universe might be able to destroy a planet. And then at the very, very end, on the side, I had some arguments for Steven being able to destroy like stars or the universe or something. But obviously, those are just like exaggerations, and you have to exaggerate Steven's power a lot to even get him to like universe level. Or I guess you could get him to like multiverse level with the device thing that can create and destroy timelines and stuff like that, right? So yeah, whereas Star, she has easily statements and feats and stuff that put her at least planet level. And then you can even as well easily go into how she can destroy universes and dimensions or whatever. And then there's the whole Omnitrix's Prime thing that he can destroy, like he embodies like an infinite amount of universes, and Eclipse spell which can destroy all dimensions and all universes and stuff. And then you have a bunch of other things like stopping time and stuff, which I mean Steven has abilities like he can move very, very fast, he can heal and stuff. But Eclipse, sorry, but Star has abilities like not only stopping time itself, but in actuality he has spells that can negate durability. And if you argue she can use the spell with no name, she literally has a spell that would disintegrate Steven and his gem. I don't think there's any real question, any real battle here. I think this is more of an aesthetic battle. Like you have between limiting, I don't know, Homelander and Omni-Man. Like, yeah, those people are very similar, but at the same time, we all know who would win. This is one of those aesthetic battles. And it's not even aesthetic in the sense of like their character designs, but more so in terms of they were shows that were very popular at a certain point in time, and they represent the new age of cartoons. They represent some of the peak, at least in popularity, of the 2010s or the mid 2010s in terms of cartoons. You'll probably argue something like Gravity Falls and Adventure Time are more popular and even better than those two shows. But when it comes to like strong fan bases and strong magical systems, I would say that Star and Steven are the Star Butterfly and Steven Universe are the ones that have led the whole cartoon community for years. They have carried it on their backs for years. So yeah, it's just a aesthetic thing. It's just they were rivals in terms of ratings, maybe in terms of Cartoon Network versus Disney Channel. But when it comes to strength, there's nothing about it. I heard people trying to argue that Star it's actually building level, and Steven it's actually just like mountain level or planet level or whatever. But all of those arguments are pretty weak, pretty bad. I can't even argue with those people because they're unironically insane. So yeah, this was the video. This was a long video, but to be fair, it was 2 videos into one, so it had to be this long. So thank you for watching. See you next time. Crack out and goodbye.
Coming with me, be my fantasy.